Evening, everyone. How are we all? Hope you can all hear me loud and clear. We are joined tonight by the team from Drift. We've got Michael standing by, and Josh is coming on shortly as well. Hopefully, everyone can hear me, and we're going to hear an update from the Drift team on everything they've got going on with the project. A big thank you to CC Pro for investing so far, and of course, some much needed updates, and I'm sure some questions from the CC Pro community. So make sure you like the stream, drop some questions, and we'll get through as many as we can. Let me add Michael and Josh, and then we'll get started. We might be joined by Paul as well. How we doing, Mike? How we doing, Josh? Welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for giving up your time to join CC Pro and the wider community and explain a bit more about Drift and, of course, some important updates. I know there was a couple that went out today. So, yeah, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Hey. Thank you, Mark, for having us.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having us. Yeah, sorry, we had a busy day, and I'm on the way to take my daughter to dance right now, so I'm not on video, but wanted to join because it's important to update you guys. So,
no, that's cool. No worries. So just before we get started, do you guys want to just give us a bit of an introduction, how you got involved with Drift, kind of a bit about your background, and then we'll get on to Drift in a second.
Yeah, awesome. I'll lead it off. So I'm Josh Chan. I'm the CEO for Drift. My background in crypto is in 2017. I started investing. 2020, I started getting into projects, working for them just once I was investing originally, and then started kind of working dev stuff. And then I got a little deeper into the space, running my own projects. And then in 2020, 2021, I transitioned to leading operations for an energy sector blockchain company. And then my leadership background as CEO, I was in the military here in the United States for the last decade. I went to West Point here and graduated there in 2017. It's one of the top leadership academies in America. So that's kind of my organizational leadership background. I led teams of 15 to 20 people to like 150, 200 plus people. So that's kind of a little bit of my background, quick and dirty. Mike, if you want to go ahead and give yours.
Oh, thanks, Josh. So I'm Michael Tabone. I am the former deputy director of research for Cointelegraph. And now I am a senior economist and featured writer at Cointelegraph instead, taking a little step back so I can focus really on Drift here, where I am the CFO. Also, the director of strategy on another company, which actually Josh and I worked on. It's a little bit more of a Web 2.1 company, which is what kind of impetus behind us getting us started in this Drift thing. And we started on making Drift Studios from there. And as well as I, advise over 20 different companies in the Web3 space. And I'm also a professor of blockchain technology at the University of the Cumberlands, which they have a master's degree program in global business with blockchain. And I have a PhD, clearly, because I teach there. But my PhD is in business, but my focus on that was in DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. And as you can probably see from behind me, I got a little Bitcoin, a little Monero. So I'm fully into the Web3 space for a long time now, and looking forward to talking to your community.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much for joining us. And the CC Pro community obviously came out quite hard on the 27th when we launched, the 27th of December. Really excited for the prospect of the game long term and what developments are coming. So do you want to just speak a bit, probably better yourself, Michael, just about what's coming in terms of V2 and obviously version 3, which will be the Web3 version of the game. And we'll kind of touch on the game first before we talk about the token.
Sure. So right now on the website, drifttoken.io is a beta version of the game. And it's a beta version for testing reasons and for other things. So we still encourage everyone to go to the website, check it out, play the game. Please give us some feedback. We're always looking for feedback and everything else, but play the game now. It's only going to get better from here. The next version, V1, comes out mid-February, third week kind of ish of February. And that should have enhanced graphics, some in-game stuff. It's compatible with the blockchain on the blockchain stuff. So it's got some advanced features that we have currently right now. and the dev teams are working really hard on that. And so that's what we have on the game so far. And there's actually some we're going to have some footage and all that kind of stuff coming out in the next couple of days to kind of give everybody a preview of what that looks like. So yeah, very excited about that. And do you want to know about the well, there's other things in the project too, but we're focusing just on the game right now.
Yeah, you can go on and talk about all the other developments. I know you guys, I've got to know you quite well in promoting it with CC Pro. I know you guys have got a lot going on in the background. So do you want to kind of talk about what I suppose you can talk about and what is announced already?
Yeah, so this is one of the dangerous things about being the director of strategy, the CFO and the strategy guy, is we're constantly in partnerships with different companies and we're talking to different people. And unfortunately, I want to come out and tell you everybody we're talking to and everything that we're doing. I really want to come out and tell you. But the problem is I can't. So one of the things we've been working with is different centralized exchanges, because we want to have the ability to have people have on and off ramps for this and not just to have it be, a Uniswap type of thing, which we are also doing DEXs. But one of the centralized exchanges that we just signed with, and they promoted it this morning, is Bitmart. So Bitmart is one of the top. It's in the top 40, depending on which outlet you're going with that ranks them. But Bitmart is a good start. We also have another one which they haven't announced yet, so I can't say. So we have another centralized exchange again in the top 30, top 40. That's up there, and we have a couple more that are a little higher coming out soon that we're working with, and we have to finalize that paperwork. But again, we always want to make sure everything's finalized and the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, just to make sure that we are not promoting anything out there. There's other things out there. We're working with some other partners. Again, can't say these things yet. One of them is a very known company out in the space. If I told you the name of the project, everybody would know exactly what. It's been around for a long time. And that's going to help with some interoperability things with the token in the background. So that's fantastic. And that should be integrated relatively soon. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, we should be able to share that with everybody. Josh, is there anything else that I missed right now?
No, not right now. Like that we could share, but just we're looking every move we're making is to scale at the right time. You guys know obviously really well here at CC Pro who we've invested. The grassroots and like specifically you guys, as investors are really what the early focus has been on, and you'll continue to be the focus. But we're kind of at a critical mass of where we can get on this strategy. So that's why we're starting to partner with some of these bigger partnerships. It's always been part of the plan. We're always going to be looking out for you guys as for the best of the valuation of the product. And, it's been articulated in the game plan from day one. So I think everybody understands here it's good for growth, and, it's only beneficial stuff we're doing. We're super excited. We'll be able to share a lot more of it in the coming weeks, but there's going to be a shift in the marketing, which actually is articulated right on our webpage that we're going to shift as we grow bigger. So excited about all that stuff, and we're following the plan as well we can, and we're adapting a bit where we need to, but everybody's interest. But it's all good stuff, guys. So appreciate support here. Mark, you and the team here at CC Pro have been pivotal in our early success. So I just want to say that, and just want to give your investors confidence that we're doing everything we can to make this worthy of the early support. So that's all I want to say right now.
Yeah, and for everybody tuning in, if you haven't got any Drift tokens, or if you want to get some more, you can see the website, and the ambassador code is on the screen just now. So feel free. You can go and get some more at 0.0007 cents just now, or dollars. So yeah, that's still open. And just on that, Michael, can you talk about why you chose to go the community-led route as opposed to the VC? Because one of the things and one of the reasons we talk a lot about seed rounds and pre-sales is to our community members, is because we understand that normally when we get to buy crypto, you're already about a year behind the VCs, the big guys. And in the traditional markets, that's always the way. Us guys don't get to buy seed rounds in the traditional financial world. It's just a fact. So can you talk about how you decided that, why you decided that, and how kind of unique that really is?
Yeah. So when we were discussing the formation and of Drift Studios and what we wanted to do, we really wanted this to be in the Web3 ethos of things. We really wanted this to be, and that's why the team doesn't have tokens. We don't have a token allocation. It doesn't exist for us. There is no pile of team tokens sitting somewhere. I had to buy my tokens. Josh had to buy his tokens. Paul, everybody else that exists had to buy our own way into the project. There is no team allocation that's sitting somewhere. That's very different than a lot of different Web3 projects which have popped up, and you can see it right on their white paper. They'll say, oh, 20% is left for the team. That's fine and dandy, except there's always that sell pressure. As soon as they launch, these guys sell that amount, or it's locked up and they sell it all at one other time in the future. So, there's a very well-known project that Algorand, a good example. This is all public knowledge, right? They had a vesting schedule where you know exactly where during the project it was going to dump, because they're like, oh, 10% gets invested there, 5% gets invested there, 2%. And you knew, so that on that date, you would know it would go to $1.35 and then it would dump down to 95 cents. You knew it all the time. We don't have a vesting schedule like that for teams. There's no team tokens. So we're part of the team. We're part of the community. We want to see this thing go. The idea behind not getting VCs involved for as long as possible, to holding them off, was to allow more people into this community at the very start of the process. It's very rare. It's like the news, right? When someone, by the time that your grandmother told you what stock to buy, that stock is no longer, the stock already went up, right? Everyone who had money to invest at the beginning already did it. So by the time that the water cooler guy at your work or whatever it happens to be, the guy who rides the bus tells you he tells you something, it's probably not, it's probably too late, or it's, you're not going to be on the uprising side of things. We launched to everybody, open to everybody. Anybody who hears this thing can get involved. We, you just hook up your MetaMask or your Web3 wallet, and you get involved at very low entry cost now, compared to what we've decided with Bitmart and everything else. The price is going to be starting off a little higher here, and by that time we'll have a functioning game and everything else going on. Right now we're still in beta. And to make sure we're as inclusive as possible, we, are not doing what we are going to launch on specifically right now, right? So this is, I bought in on the first round. I bought a little bit more on each round myself on different chains, because I wanted to see how this thing would work on different chains. So I bought a little bit on, I bought a lot on ETH. I bought a little bit on BNB and a little bit on Polygon. But with gas fees being the way they are, I should have done it the opposite way around. But what are you going to do? And so yeah, obviously it's my project and I'm part of it, and Josh is part of it, and obviously I'm here to promote it. So I'm going to tell you, go out and do it. But you're not going to find many other projects that you haven't heard of, or you have heard of, and they still allow you to jump in on the pre-sale way before it goes live. And it's going to go live in a few months. There are some people you'll talk to in the space where they got sold a pre-sale and the roadmap is there, right? But there's no times on the roadmap. And everything is months and months and months away. And so people have these tokens that they bought for pre-sales from a year, 2 years before, and they just ask, when sale, WEN sale, right? When's the sale? When's launch? And these teams are just still, twiddling their thumbs. And we're racing towards trying to launch at the end of February, early March for the token itself, airdrops and everybody else, you get airdropped your thing. That's when the, if you decided to stake, that's when the staking would start. And if you decide for the dynamic tax, that's when the dynamic tax kicks in for that moment, right? And then it, the dynamic tax, goes down after a certain amount of time. And the same thing with the 120% APY for staking, that goes down after a certain amount of time, but it kicks in right as soon as the airdrop starts. As soon as the token launches.
Yeah. So, to add into Mike's little precision of language there. So we will have token generation event. Now this depends. We like we said, we're working with some centralized exchanges, so we're looking at early to to mid-March, just to be giving ourselves enough time to be sure, we can. So just to give you an idea, so it's not, we're talking a month and a half out from today. So, that's what you're looking at. And it may, depending on how the mechanism is, it's either a claim with a reimbursement or an airdrop to distribute if you've already invested. So those are just some things, that might get across. Like, you don't have to wait a long time. We been as close as we could to the original timeline. I think, when we first came out, we've added maybe 1 or 2 weeks because of this centralized exchange, and we've always been messaging that for you guys. So you're not going to find us surprised, like, hey guys, you got to wait like 3 months because we have to audit our contract. You know what I mean? Or something silly like that. So just, I've seen that a lot of pre-sales and stuff. It's like, oh guys, we got this opportunity. We didn't think it would happen. And guess what? Like, now we have to delay 2 months, and there's another 2 months. And it's like, by then ETH is like either 3 times what it was worth or a quarter of what it was worth, but either way, the point is, we're going to follow the timeline we put out for you guys. And, it's just, I think that's Mike is getting across. I want to add a little more specificity on as far as why, it may be, there's like a little range there in March. Depends on what these, we finalize with these central exchanges, which should be finalized and better messaging around that, a lot more precise date for you guys. So, just want to add that in.
No, yeah, that's great. And there is a few questions, Mike, coming in. I don't know if you want to tackle some of them. So Paul, first off, says, where do you see Drift in 2 years from now? I guess when you answer that, we probably want to talk about the game, but can you talk about the car skins that we briefly discussed, but my technical knowledge is very poor, so you are probably better explaining it to the community.
For your members?
Yeah, for CC Pro members.
Okay, so the way that we would handle this is what's called a POAP, or a proof of attendance protocol. So what a POAP is your members would get a code, right? They go into the POAP, they claim it, it gets put onto their wallet, whatever wallet they particularly want. And then for a gas fee, they can turn that into an NFT. And that NFT then can be used however you want to use a normal NFT, but it would be this kind of designed to be able to be used as a skin for the car. So if you wanted to, right, if your members could use that skin for the car. And the reason why it's done as a POAP is because a POAP is very light. But turning it into an NFT is simply just paying really the gas fee for minting an NFT. But it would be specifically for your members because they would get a particular thing. So it's an easy way to spread the NFT out there, and it's claimable. It's not a big deal. Or you can leave it as a POAP, proof of attendance protocol. Not a big deal. Leave it as a POAP, collect it. Doesn't have to be turned into an NFT if you don't want. I have POAPs from large AMAs that I've attended in the past, from different things I've done. I get POAPs, and I don't necessarily always turn them into NFTs. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But it's really, really nice system. POAPs are probably going to be used. Okay, sorry.
No. So basically, for CC Pro members, you can mint an NFT which will be branded for CC Pro members. It'll be branded in certified crypto, and you can use it as a skin on your car in the game. And then whenever you compete, you race, you take part in the game, you can use that skin on the car so everybody knows you're a member of CC Pro. But also it's just unique. So you're in a different car from the general public, which is pretty cool, and a nice little difference as well. I quite like it. I didn't know about that until yesterday. So that's pretty cool. And then in terms of the game, 2 years from now, where'd you see it? Will it be on an app? Or is that more maybe a Josh question? Or you can let me know.
One thing on the POAP thing, the POAP is important because that's how in the future, that's how you're going to get your tickets to concerts and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be on POAPs. So it's going to be like an NFT light kind of thing. So if you want to research on your own, just look up what a POAP is. You'll learn a whole bunch of stuff about the entertainment industry and where we're going with that in the blockchain world. But in 2 years, Drift. So the Drift Studios is a more overarching thing, and then Payout Pursuit, which is the first game, is another thing. So the game itself, right, is where you're going to have this NFT that you can play as a CC Pro member of the community. That's awesome. in 2 years from now, mobile, by the way, is something that we're working on, and we feel like it's vital. So we're working on that way faster than 2 years. So the game itself, I hope, would be in version 6 or 7 by then, because we hope on continuously updating the game. It doesn't cost anything to the player. It's not like a console game where you have to constantly buy the next console. So updating it is not an expense for the user. All that it is giving you other features and other things that are available with us. Do I know what those things would be? I assume, and this is, again, please don't send me emails tomorrow when we launch the next day, right? But I think some of those things would be abilities to brand inside the game itself and to advertise inside the game, right? I think those are things that would be automatic. So I use this example sometimes in AMAs, and some people laugh, but it's a good example. If you get good at racing and you're a good racer, and people want to race against you as a ghost, if you have a reputation, you can go out and get yourself sponsored. Maybe you get Wonder Bread, or you get Hershey's or something like that to sponsor your car, and that's another source of revenue for you as a racer. That's drifter, I should say. That's out on the track, but also around the track itself, there's going to be advertisements and that kind of stuff. There also could be the advantage for certain companies to come out and say, we want a yearly X classic, Wonder Bread classic, it would kind of be like a Formula One, kind of like classic kind of thing, but different tracks and different things for different kind of special occasions. So there's that ability that I definitely see coming in 2 years. Also the ability to make bigger bets on somebody else. So if somebody gets a reputation on the leaderboard, let's say in the leaderboard world, where they're getting first place, second place, third place consistently, then I see that I want to bet on, let's say Mark gets really good. I want to bet on Mark, so I put a wager on myself, or I could put a wager directly on Mark, and hopefully if Mark wins, I get that side bet. So it's kind of like poker where you have a side bet going on. And I also see eventually where you join the race normally, like whatever it is for the wager on yourself, $10. Then in the future, I see where you wager on yourself for $10, but if I don't feel like I could beat Mark, because Mark always wins, but I know that I could beat my Aunt Agnes, right? So I convince my Aunt Agnes to go into a bet with me, or the people at my office that I work with, or my family, or my group of friends, and we race against each other, where I have a way better chance probably of beating them than Mark or my 4-year-old, who the little kids, I don't know why they seem like they know technology way better than I do. It's just they come out of the womb and they just can play games, and they know how to move a iPad. My youngest daughter, when she was like 2 months, she's looking at my phone and she's scrolling. I'm like, this is amazing. So if the little kids are beating you and you want to race against people that you might have a chance with, maybe you go into a side bet, same race all the time. Now, something to also keep in mind that, and I had the clarification before, you don't just, make a wager into that one race, like in that one time. You have a period of time. The races are for like 24 hours or a period of time. You can race as many times as you want. So you have to remember that too. You're probably going to race the first 10 times as like practice. And then you're going to kind of concentrate on, how do I skate off a second here and 2 seconds there, and how do I get better at this? That's probably going to happen. So you can race, technically you could race 24 hours in that period of time or whatever it is to get as good as possible. And that's where GGMF came from. Get good, blankety blank, came from that idea, because it's not an easy game. If you've played the beta, you kind of know it's not an automatic, you get it immediately. You got to learn how to play it, and every single track is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be automatically the same thing every single time. So in 2 years from now, that's how I see the game evolving into being more for playable. Probably definitely going to be on mobile sooner than 2 years. I kind of see integration with controllers. People want to have the steering wheel, they want to have the shifters, they want to have the breakers. So I think that's totally possible. I have my past life. I was a aerospace engineer, manufacturing engineer, and I have a little bit of experience in the world with those kind of controllers and everything else. So, and we have been talking. We had one group we were talking to that's possible to do it. So we're looking into that. That's not going to be immediate. It's going to be down the road. Drift itself, the Drift token itself, remember, is isolated from the game. So the game is existing, but there's going to be other things in the Drift universe that exist, right? The Drift ecosystem. So in 2 years, there's also going to be other games added to our ecosystem. Does that mean that we take our eyes off the prize of Payout Pursuit? Not at all. Payout Pursuit is a franchise within Drift, and then I assume there's going to be other franchises with different types of gameplay. Not everybody's a racer. Not everybody's going to be a role-playing game person. Not everybody's going to be a pool person or whatever it happens to be that comes up in a game. But we're going to constantly add different types of enjoyment and entertainment to the process. There might be small games, might be big games. I can't tell you exactly what the futures look like, but I imagine in 2 years there's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different franchises playing underneath the whole entire Drift Studios umbrella, and Payout Pursuit would probably be on its like 7th iteration. That's 2 years from now if I had to vision it out.
So basically, the possibilities are endless for Drift. I actually think the advertising in-game kind of monetization of the game seems to be the way Web3 is going. There seems to be a lot of opportunities there that don't exist in Web 2. And obviously, Web3 is all about owning your own data, advertisement, and who controls what you see and when you see it. So I think that's huge. And I think it's obviously anyone that watches Formula One, watches any rally circuits, anything like that, it's branded, up to the eyeball. So, I think that's going to be huge. And companies are going to think differently about how they advertise and how they reach the people they want to reach in the future, as opposed to just putting branding in the traditional spaces. I think that's really exciting. I think the game sounds really good. And one of the questions we had was about, where does Drift go after, Drift Studios? Where does it go? So that's great to get that answer as well, which is really exciting. I guess this all revolves around the growth of Web3. We've spoke on the podcast before. CC Pro members will know I've spoke about it before. Is adoption coming from the East? Typically Southeast Asia, some parts of Africa, probably Latin America, but I'm not quite as sure about that. Is that something you expect? And I guess in these countries, the adoption's quicker, and there will be people that can make a weekly, monthly, even yearly salary by gaming, as opposed to traditional methods of work versus other parts of the world, basically.
1,000%. In the last bull run, there are stories. You can go back and find them. You can find them on Cointelegraph and everything else. There's stories of people that were in, poverty situations or not the greatest financial situations, getting into GameFi and getting themselves out of there, getting themselves into a way better position for their family. Matter of fact, there's one story I remember of 2 little kids, like I talked about, that did just that, right? So it's very possible to do that. Now, the cool thing about Payout Pursuit is once the engine gets started, pun intended, once the engine gets started at Payout Pursuit, there should be always some kind of some kind of financial incentive for somebody to participate in the race. Because if, let's say that the racing pool was $10, that's not maybe attractive to Mark or to me or to somebody, somebody in the first world. But somebody in the third world might look at that and go, it's worth $1 wager for me to get involved with this $10 thing, right? That might vary. So that is an engine that can constantly go. Now, if the pool is $1,000, that's still probably going to attract more people. If the pool is $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, and it could easily go up and down and swing in, Christmas. I don't know if, and Christmas Day in America, I don't know if a lot of people are going to be playing Payout Pursuit, but probably the next day they're going to be playing Payout Pursuit again, right? So I don't know what the wager is going to be. It's probably going to go up and down and vary from day to day, especially if there's a classic coming up or a special event coming up. I could see it, but I think there's always going to be an incentive for somebody to race and somebody to get involved, because again, this is not gambling. This is strictly you betting or wagering on yourself for your own skill initially. later on, we're going to try to add in all the things I like, really, like, betting on somebody else and betting in your own pool of stuff, right? And that's like, we're trying to get that done in this 2024, right? In this year. Side bets, with smaller people first, and I think betting on other people would be the harder one next. We just want to make sure it's fair and it's easy to bet on. I bet on Mark and I lose on purpose. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. If anybody wants to jump in on my bet with me, I mean, that's kind of silly, right? So we were trying to work on ways to get around that. That's kind of why it might take longer. And of course, this is all based on your jurisdiction of where you live, and no one's suggesting that you break any laws or anything like that. But so that's something to think about. The drift studios could go a lot of different places, like you just said before. A lot of things. And I have my eyes on one particular company in one particular industry for the very first classic. We haven't reached out to them yet because we want to get through this pre-sale and get into launching our token. But I'm like super. To me, in my mind, we already made the deal. That's how like super focused I am. We haven't even approached them yet, but I really want this one company who I think would be fantastic to partner with. And you'd see their advertisement. And my hope is that you would win the first place, second place, and third place winner would not only win the pool, but they would also win an object from this company as part of the winnings. So I think that'd be really cool. So I don't want to say any more than that, because if it goes wrong, everyone's going to blame me because it didn't go that way. But I can see companies wanting to do this, especially companies that are in the Web 2 world that want to be hip and cool and get their face in front of Web 3, right? I think that's this is a natural progression, especially if it's racing involved with Payout Pursuit. I think it's an easy one for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's rattle through some questions if that's okay. So another question: what exchanges are you in talks with? I guess you probably can't really talk too much of that, but talks are ongoing with centralized and decentralized exchanges, I guess, is kind of the answer we can give, but you probably can't say too much more other than the fact that Bitmart got announced this morning.
I can't say too much more. I can say Bitmart because that was official. There's another one that's in the top 30. I'll tell you right now. I have this all written down. So I know what the other ones are. I obviously can't say it. So yeah. So both of these are in the top 30. If you go by coin market cap. And then we have two more that we're working on that are in the top 40. And then we have our sights set on one of the big boys in the top 10, right? But and we've approached all of those, and we've gotten we're in talks with these things. But any group can say, I mean, I can be everyone kind of knows that any group can say that they're doing this, that, and the other thing, but we really are almost there. And one of them is literally one of them we announced today. Another one, the one in the top 30, we're going to announce as soon as I think we get the clear from them, but we're good. We signed the paperwork and everything. And then we have one we haven't signed yet, but we're looking at Friday. So that's Friday. So that's 3 right there. And
I guess the whole point with centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, but more with the centralized exchanges, it's all about momentum. So, Bitmart today, another one Friday, and then it just kind of snowballs. It's not 0 to 100 because you have to kind of build that. You have to build the holders, which I saw Drift is now past 1,000 unique wallet holders.
That's correct.
So you have to do certain things for, I guess, the bigger the exchange, the higher the criteria is, and you have to kind of tick it off gradually.
And the bigger the exchange, the more they do not want a pre-sale to continuously go on, right? Because they don't want to be undercut on. They don't want to see us undercutting them as it's going live on their exchange, right? So right now, none of this is happening tomorrow. This is happening, after launch, right at the moment of token generation event. That's when a lot of these are going to happen. But this pre-sale that's going on now is obviously not going to last forever. So as we move into those things, whether it's this round, whether we close this round or the next round, we're probably going to have a premature pulling of it, right? So that way it's no longer available. So that way we can do these partnerships, especially the big boys. The big boys, they don't want any kind of this kind of stuff, right? So, and we are in talks with them, but they want, again, token generation event first, because I think they've had bad experiences in the past with pre-sales for some of these. So,
yeah, no, that makes sense. Casual by nature, we did actually cover that just before you joined. Really good question, but we did cover that. Two-Faced has, will you be building on other chains? So I guess with that one, I can speak a wee bit, so I could give you a bit of a break since you're getting all the questions. But I guess the big thing on that is in drift or in payout pursuit. Sorry, it doesn't matter what you stake, you can earn back in that. So it doesn't really. So if I stake BNB, I earn in BNB. It doesn't necessarily matter about everybody else. It doesn't have to be a specific token. Is that right? Am I?
Well, now that you ask it like that, I thought it was going to be you earn it in ETH, so that's a simple ETH thing. So the BNB gets translated into what the price of ETH was at the time, or whatever it happens to be, and I think you get it better in ETH. Let me, before someone sends me some hate mail, let me just make sure that that's 100% correct. I believe that's 100% the way it is, but let me just check on that, Mark, and I'll let you get back to your community on that one. But I believe it's in ETH. But yeah, working on chains right now, tokens are on Ethereum. This leads you to another partnership I can't tell you about, but we are working on it. Ethereum, BNB, and Polygon is what we're on now, Matic. We are working on inclusivity of other chains. A lot of them are EVM compatible. We're not there yet. We haven't done that yet, only because the devs have been focused tremendously on getting the game going. And make sure the contract's right, and making sure by the contract's right is, we have a major company auditing us very shortly to make sure that we have the contract there and everything else is solid. Not only that, we have to do that because we are working with a company, and again, this is a top blockchain firm or project that everyone would know if I said it, that is going to help with the interoperability of if someone's betting on BNB and someone's betting on Matic and someone's betting on AVAX and someone's betting on, whatever it happens to be, Ethereum. That's fine. The pool will be in the thing. And then if you bet on BNB, if you bet with BNB, you're going to get paid out on BNB because of all the stuff that goes on in the background with interoperability, move some liquidity around, bam, BNB gets sent to you at the end of the day. So you can still interact with everything, and the tokens can be interacted with. There's two different ways of doing the contract for those people that are technical, right? And in this one, non-technical way to explain it, there's always a constant supply of drift tokens, but this would have a burn and create type of function where, if there was more BNB required, then whatever other chain exists would get burnt that amount, and BNB drift would increase, right? So it would exist now on drift in a higher amount, same amount of circulating supply, but it would just translate from one chain to another, or one protocol, I should say, because like AVAX is not a blockchain, right? So one protocol to another would go back and forth. So that's really cool. I think that everyone can interact with each other in that way, and it's really kind of going to be seamless and
and I guess
require a bridge.
Be fair,
Mark.
Yeah, and to be fair, Nabil's just blew up my phone telling me all the technicalities of it. But basically, yeah, so because it's multi-chain, it also brings in different communities. So you've got the BNB community, Matic community, Ethereum, whatever. They all pay whatever their fee is, and then you earn back, if you win, whatever tokens you staked in the first place, which is kind of what you were saying as well. Two-Faced has asked how much have you allocated to advertising, but I'm guessing that's kind of flexible and they'll change based on the rounds and based on who you're partnered with.
Correct. So in GameFi and in Web3, but in GameFi specifically, the major companies spend a lot of money on advertising. They spend a lot of money on getting the message out there. That's what a majority of their costs are. If you were to look at companies like in the watch world, for instance, a watch to make any watch, even though luxury watches that everyone says, are $2 million and stuff, it doesn't cost that much to make. It's not the input of the cost. It's literally how much does this cost to advertise out there, and if I told you those statistics on those companies, you would no longer really kind of covet some of these watches that everyone covets. But point is, with us, we're trying to be as lean and mean as possible during this raise. So that's, we're trying to not spend as much money on advertising as other companies do, but we are totally trying to find the correct strategic partners to get the message out there on, which I think we've done. We've raised, 850 something thousand in these first two rounds without, having to go to, VCs and the big boys to, get the word out there. I think our, most expensive things were, a Cointelegraph article we wanted to get out there called an explanatory article, specifically because we want that to be a forever article that we can always point to. And that kind of explains Drift's overall arching message. So I think it was money well spent, to be honest with you. I think we had like 37,000 views. They got a lot of eyes on the project, which is great. And it's always going to be up there. Reaching, I don't know if you guys understand how much it costs to get listed on exchanges, but it's not cheap. It's not, listing. You can look this up online. There's a whole thing about it. How much listings cost and that kind of stuff. It's not a cheap thing. It's not an easy process. There's a scam. What do you call it? A scam check that everyone has to go through to make sure you're a legit project, especially if it's a big boy exchange, right? If it's in the top 10, you're gonna have to do a serious exchange, make sure you're credible. Like, let's say you're trying to get on Coinbase. That's like nuts because they're a publicly traded company. So they don't want any kind of scammy type of crazy things. You might say to me next, what are you talking about? I've seen some of the things that Coinbase lists. Yes, but compared to what you can just throw up on Uniswap in a 5 minute period, it's a lot more scrutiny goes onto it. So there's going to be scrutiny on us, and I'm okay with that. We're totally open to the transparency, and we want to be scrutinized. We want to be looked at. That's the whole point of our Web3 ethos, is to be as transparent as possible. So I'm sorry I talked for a little bit longer on that one.
No, you're good. So I have one more question, and then I wanted to highlight something that came up last night when I was speaking to you guys. So Anthony's asked probably the question that every member wanted to ask, but probably didn't want to be rude, but I don't think it's rude. In terms of this round, obviously it's taken a bit longer to sell out. Was that expected, or was it that the first two rounds sold out way quicker than you expected, or just quickly on that?
Yeah, so the first round sold out way faster than we thought. The second round, yes, thanks to CC Pro. Yes, absolutely. First round sold out way faster than we thought. The second round, so we thought we were going to have a little bit. So we thought we were going to launch and have a little bit more time to be able to vet and find out the best ways to do, the best people to make arrangements with for marketing. Because, it's not, usually when you're talking to these people, it's not if you can give somebody, an ETH today and, they're ready to go in the next 5 minutes, they probably have nothing lined up. Right? They have probably nothing lined up for you to have. They're probably just sitting around in their basement waiting for someone to send them an ETH. So the best people are usually people that, when you contact them, they say, listen, 2 weeks out, we can do this. 3 weeks out, we can do this. So we thought we had more time. And when we talk about the first two rounds, first round done in 2 hours, amazing, right? We all high-fiving in the background, fantastic. Second one went out 5 days, boom, sold out. We thought we had a little more time with that. We didn't. So now, we opened up the next one because we didn't want too much of a gap between the first lap, the second round, and the third one. We didn't want too much because we kept getting asked when's the next pre-sale. So we opened it up. We knew it was going to be a little slower. We have about 14% right now of this round filled, so it's not terrible. We didn't spend tons of money on advertising yet, all that stuff to go into it. And we wanted to see, and again, with these partnerships, like with Bitmart and with the other one and the other one that might come up on Friday, we expected this. So it's only been a little while. We're not freaking out. We still have plenty of time before the game comes out and the actual launch of the token. All that this money is again to get the word out and to, I call it like building a sandcastle. You can build a sandcastle by a little bucket, but the more sand you have, the more basically, and this is all pun intended here, the more fuel you can put on the fire to be, to grow and accelerate things faster. And then, so can we launch the way we are? Yeah, we could totally launch the way we are. But we want to get that funds a little higher, get more exposure, get more people involved, so we can get more holders. And we want to get this as big as possible on a grassroots level. So that way, it's not 1,000 holders, it's 2,000 holders, or whatever it happens to be. And for many centralized exchanges, they want to see, thousands of holders because they want to make sure it's not just Mike Tabone with, 10,000 fake MetaMask wallets with one token each, and I call myself a holder, right? And why is it important to be on CEXs instead of just being on DEXs by itself? Because CEXs are centralized exchanges, are an easy on and off ramp for people, and not everybody is a DeFi degen like myself or maybe the rest of the SEC Pro, right? And everyone's a DeFi degen and is comfortable holding a MetaMask, and they want the centralized exchange thing. So it's just gonna open up the token to more and more people. And I don't know if you're like me. Sometimes you don't know about a project until you see it listed somewhere. You go on Uniswap or you go on centralized exchange and you're like, what's this? And then you look into it and you're like, no, thank you. Or maybe you ape in right there on the spot and you buy, too much. Who knows? But of course, always do your due diligence. But that's, sorry for going on again, Mark.
No, you're great. Thanks very much for coming on. The one thing I wanted to talk about just before we finish was it's so important that you guys are public facing. You've got a face out there. Because what a lot of our members might not realize, and probably I didn't realize until the last few days when we've been speaking, is there's so many of these projects that just launch on centralized and decentralized exchanges that aren't KYC, they aren't doxed. No one even has a legitimate email from them. They just spin up a token, put it out there, people buy it, and they walk away with the money, and then they could just disappear tomorrow. Whereas Dr. Michael Tabone, on LinkedIn, on all these things, should give people that level of confidence that, to be honest, a lot of tokens, a lot of projects just simply don't have for specific reasons. Not to call them all scams, but for that specific reason. So I think that's something that CC Pro members should kind of acknowledge and also appreciate, because it is a big selling factor of Drift Studios and the token itself, because then there is a level of trust with the fact that you're doxed.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So this is a pre-sale and this is a startup. So, this is just like if you were to buy into, a pizza parlor down the street, that hasn't started up yet. We're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that this thing is a success. And, there's no reason why we can't launch with a token and we get this thing going. But again, it's a startup. It's a pre-sale. There are people out there in the cryptoverse, I think, that said it best, like Sami, my friend Sami, who said, it's a lotto ticket. There's going to be a lot of these kind of lotto tickets. You pick the best lotto ticket that has the best chances, and you pray for the best. I'm not saying that that's the way we're going to go, because I have tokens in this too, guys. I had to buy my own tokens, so I obviously want to see this thing go. So I'm going to, and again, we put our face out there because we're that confident in the fact that we're going to do everything we possibly can. And the reason why we're able to run as fast as we are, and other projects are, hey, they do a pre-sale in, let's say, September of last year, and then it's November of the next year, they still haven't, given a pre-sale, is because, I don't think they've done the due diligence and the work beforehand. We started this project 10 months ago before we even launched a pre-sale, right? We had 10 months of working on our own, doing our, working with our own blood, sweat, and tears, having our own meetings, our own things, filling things in. This meeting got canceled. Okay, let's have a drift meeting, right? Constantly, we've done 10 months of pre-work before launching. So for us, graphics, this, that, the game, beta, all this other stuff, all set up, right? who we're going to talk to, who we want to approach. We already had this kind of mindset and the expectations ahead of time in our own internal roadmap and what we wanted to present to the public. We put ourselves out there because I'm not putting a NFT face over myself right now, like a lot of projects do. And whatever their reason is for anonymity, it's fine. I'm not going to point fingers at people, but there are a large portion of people out there that are not putting their face out there because they know they're going to do the token generation event and they're just going to disappear. And there's a couple of people that I can name, that are very famous in the space that they start a project every month, and somehow they have followers that go, I lost money with the last 10, but hey, this time I'm going to be one of the lucky guys that sells it at the top. And then they rug that one and they just keep doing it. And it's just a rug. They just rug city, just rugging everybody all the time. Rug. And there's people that just have followers that they rug all the time. Well, I had to work for my ETH that I put into this game for my own tokens. And I respect everybody who put ETH or BNB or Polygon into this game. I should say into the studio and Drift Studios, because I don't believe everyone's just an ETH machine or a BNB machine that you can just take stuff out from and not respect them. I really appreciate everything that you guys have done as a community and everybody who's done anything here. And we're going to make this thing as big as we possibly can. Our focus is to get this game out and then look at Gala games and try to knock them off of wherever they are in the leaderboard. So yes, Gala, we're coming after you. And, we should have high expectations for ourselves, because if you don't, you're just trying to, you're not really focused on world domination, which you want the people that are in charge of a company to be, concentrating on world domination. In this particular case, GameFi domination, not world domination. Yeah, we're focused on that.
No, definitely. And for anyone in CC Pro that doesn't know, Gala is a 100x from the market cap of Drift token right now. So that'll be pleasing to hear. Thanks very much, Mike, our Dr. Michael Tabone, as you're getting a few mentions in the comments as well. Thanks for joining us. Probably went on a bit longer than we expected, so I appreciate your time. I know you've got loads going on just now.
You don't have to call me doctor. I think the doctor was from a different thing I was on in the past, and it just stayed there. So it's not there.
Fine. I can respect.
It's not there for like my ego. I don't know why the doctor stayed. It was, I don't know, from some other thing I was on. So I apologize.
No, that's fine. I respect the PhD. Yeah. But no, and thanks to Nabil, who's messaging me some answers to questions, which I'll drop for CC Pro members, and of course Josh, who sounded like he was crashing his car. But thanks for coming on, and we appreciate that. Anyone listening, anyone watching, if you've not got any Drift tokens, or if you want to top up, the code's on the screen, website's on the screen, and thanks very much, and we'll catch you again soon.
Thanks, Mark. Let me do the lasers.
You're more skilled than me.